Warning: the following content may contain spoilers for film and television programs. It is also intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Ahoy, all of you flick freaks out there, what is going on? My name is Andrew. We are here with episode 89 of the Flick Freak Podcast. Joining me today, special guest, we have Devon Taylor from Jesus Live, YouTube, and Twitter.
Hello, hello. Happy to be here.
You doing all right today?
Yeah, I'm glad we could finally make this work. I usually work every Saturday morning, so I'm definitely glad we could finally make this work.
It was fortuitous. We had you over at the Sif Pop podcast, which we saw, I forget what
we did the double feature, did War Dogs and Kubo.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. Both movies, pretty good. You guys liked Kubo a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Then
then you ended up liking War Dogs a little bit more than we did.
Yeah, because you guys, I'm not really up on the, I'm not saying I don't like it, but the stop motion film just never really got to me. But you especially, if I remember, are a huge fan of stop motion films.
Yeah, so. Nightmare Before Christmas, that's my jam.
Yep, that's right. That's one of your favorite movies. But this week, however, we're going to start off the Flick Freak Files with something a little bit different than a stop motion film. It's based on a true story, Deepwater Horizon, the newest movie starring Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. And you also have Kurt Russell. And wow, just first impressions, what were your thoughts on this movie?
I did not like it.
Really?
I was like, I don't know. I felt like offended by this movie a little bit.
Oh, I gotta.
I realize I'm in the minority on it, but something about this movie I just really did not enjoy.
Okay, I'm curious if we saw the same movie because this is my number 3 movie of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Whew. Well, this could be a fun discussion then.
All right, so just a quick cast and going over everything. Peter Berg, the guy who made like Lone Survivor, he's known for making very heroic, against the odds, true story films. And the movie also stars, you have John Malkovich. You have some amazing people in this movie. But based on, of course, back in 2010, the oil rig Deepwater Horizon in the New Mexico Gulf blew up into flames, creating the worst oil disaster in history. So everybody knows the whole BP fallout afterwards and how that horrible commercial, the We're Sorry commercial. Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
That just pissed everybody off. But getting back to the movie here. So I am curious to know what about this movie was offensive.
Okay, actually it's not even the movie itself, because I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. It's not. The performances are solid, the set pieces are solid, but it's just the whole ethics of making this movie, I think, is what gets me. One, this is still a pretty recent event. This is still pretty fresh in people's minds. And it just kind of reflects on, Hollywood today on just, okay, now we need to go for every true story that we can make a movie out of, that we can make money off of. Because I feel like they took a really good story that has emotions and stuff in it, but the way they told this story, they told it like any generic disaster movie to me.
Really?
I don't know. I felt like I was watching scenes of Volcano. I was watching scenes of Deep Impact. I was watching scenes of, 2012. Like the beats that they do, the way they do this movie. Because, like I said, this has a emotional weight to it, but the way they chose to tell this story, I was not happy with it.
That's fascinating. And I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything, because everybody has their own opinion. But it's just really interesting hearing something like that, because I never came at it from that angle. So
yeah, just the way everything played out. I mean, the first 45 minutes, hour, so slow, and you got all this oil jargon, and then they're literally laying out the movie for you. I don't know how much spoilers we'll go into later, maybe, but
I don't know if you can technically say
this
movie has spoilers, because it's based on a true story that was the biggest news item for months back in 2010. Actually, like 2010, 2011, we're still feeling the ramifications of it today down in the Gulf, you know, with oil that's going to be flowing into the Gulf for who knows how long now.
Yeah.
And
Like what was it? Like it was like 10 million gallons?
10 million gallons.
Might have even been more than that, but it was a lot.
Yep. And I have family that is down like the New Orleans area and stuff.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So yeah, I got my Fleur-de-Lis. I'm a big Saints fan, but that's off topic. So I want to talk just a little bit about performances real quick. So for me, the standout performance of this movie was Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
I think he killed it. He was so good. And not good for Kurt Russell. I thought he was really good.
No, and that's one thing that's probably my biggest highlight of this movie as well is, you know, Kurt Russell. A lot of people, when they talk about his performances, like, you know, Kurt Russell doing a classic Kurt Russell performance. This was not that. Like, he was not doing his usual, you know, Kurt Russellisms. Like, this was he really dug into the character and, like, you know, did something with it and brought a lot of that emotion. You really believed him as this, like, respected boss on this rig. And
exactly.
so, like, that was definitely my biggest positive of this movie was Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Whenever I was watching him, I didn't realize, or I knew it was Kurt Russell, but I forgot that it was Kurt Russell. I didn't see Snake Plissken from Big Trouble in Little or from Escape from L.A. or, you know, Big Trouble in Little China or Stargate. I didn't see the Kurt Russell from all those movies. I saw a real person with real emotions.
Yeah.
And I actually thought Mark Wahlberg, he's kind of coming into his own as an actor. He's not a novelty anymore.
He's had such an interesting career because, I mean, you know, his early stuff, you know, he's in a lot of indie favorites. He's pulled out some good performances, you know, Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights is one of the best performances of his,
you know,
ever.
And then he hits this lull in the middle of his career, and then, like, he does more dramatic stuff like Invincible, and, like, he's had just this real roller coaster of a career. And I was talking with some people at the bar the other day, like, Mark Wahlberg is just the American actor. Like, he is just that everyday Joe that is just doing it, a guy from Boston, just doing it. And it always makes me happy when I see Mark Wahlberg. But he was Mark Wahlberg in this. Like, he had high moments, but he also had some very low moments too.
Yeah. His accent didn't really throw me all that much. Like, there were parts of him, like, he seems like he's, you know, pushing it just a little too hard.
Yeah.
But from the audio tapes that we were listening to, the actual Williams guy had a really thick accent too. So
yeah, he had a really thick accent. And then when they were, like, showing the pictures, like, he was very Southern, like the big old belt buckle and boots. And, like, I didn't see
bright
that
red
from,
skin, you know.
Yeah, and didn't really see that from Mark Wahlberg's portrayal of it. But
yeah,
he was fine. He had some moments in it that I was okay with, especially towards the end. Like the aftermath, that's when Mark Wahlberg had some really good scenes in there.
There's a particular scene with a father at the end of the movie that I was like, whoa.
It kind of came out of nowhere, and then I was like, oh no. But then the hotel scene, that's what got me. Like, that was a very genuine reaction of seeing his family, and, like, that's whenever I, like, finally felt like an emotional connection to this movie, because that's my thing. Like, honestly, like, I didn't really, the emotions didn't really connect with me in this. This kind of,
man, it got me hard.
I don't know. It's like the movie felt like, you know, on True TV or Discovery TV when they're like, this is a dramatization of the.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
That's the way I felt with this. Like,
man.
Especially with John Malkovich's very hammy performance, in my opinion. Like, he was very.
John Hamm, for me in this movie, wasn't like hammy or thing. He didn't seem like he was phoning it in either. It was just a weird performance. I don't know if he was right for that character. I don't think he was bad, but
he wasn't
bad compared to, like, Kurt Russell, who nailed it.
Oh yeah.
So,
like, you know, no pun to you, but John Malkovich was wearing a twirly mustache in this a bit.
Yeah, he was. You're right. He was the pinnacle of a 1950s villain.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need to do the cement. You don't trust our cement job?
Yeah.
Like,
but
and that I think that was a thing in that first 45 minutes hour that got to me, is they spent a lot of time on this. You let the testing crew before they did the testing, the cement test. Why didn't I get the cement test? I heard cement test, like, I counted like 10 times in like a 5-minute span.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I felt like they kind of spent a lot of time on that, and you could tell that's like, okay, this is what's going to lead up to the climax of it. The cement's going to give, and that's what's going to start the explosion.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I get that. There were parts where, like, of the movie, and that's why I didn't give it a perfect score, and it's not a perfect movie for me by any means. For simple facts that, like, we get it. I don't think that Peter Berg did this intentionally, but he treated some of the audience like they'd never heard of the oil crisis before.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure that everybody knew this was not the fault of the engineer, or it was the fault of the engineers, but the fault of the people working on the rig. It was the fault of the engineers who, like, didn't do the quality checks and stuff like that. I think
I'm trying to save money, and that was a really good scene by Kurt Russell in that meeting room whenever.
The flossing scene where he's talking about brushing your teeth, and then he walks in with Mark Wahlberg, and
and they're like, "Oh man, he's about to give it to him. He's about to give it to him."
I love that. That was
like
great.
The build up to that, and then the actual scene. That was a pretty good scene.
Yeah. I think a better representation of this, and it really doesn't show it from, the work's perspective, but did you ever watch the show Newsroom?
No, I didn't.
Okay. But it's a show on HBO, one of my favorite shows of all time, and it's from the news outlets perspective of, like, an oil rig exploded. Oh wait,
isn't that
Jeff Daniels?
John Gallagher Jr. is in that one, right?
No, it's Jeff Daniels, and it's I'm having a brain fart. He's the greatest writer of all time.
Oh yeah, no, it's Sorkin. Yeah,
Aaron Sorkin. I had a brain
John
fart.
John Gallagher Jr. has a small part.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he is actually a person.
I read about that
for
show.
a second. I thought you meant Gallagher, and I'm like, we must be thinking of something totally different. There were no watermelons, but yeah, John Gallagher. He was in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah,
but he's in that show, and
No, I did read about that show, but no, I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. And the pilot episode of that show is about, because it takes place around true events. So it's, the first is the oil explosion on the Deepwater Horizon, and that was really powerful. And it's interesting hearing it from, the public's perspective on how the public didn't understand in the beginning how big a deal this was going to be. And then, as new, like, resources came in, like, oh shit, no, this is going to be really bad. So obviously from their perspective, when everything is blowing up around them, it's bad.
Yeah. I guess Peter Berg just wanted to have a very clear through line of, like, this is the way we're, approaching this, telling this story, and, like, the view that we're trying to portray, and just trying to be clear about it. But yeah, and I don't know, I just felt like it kind of hit me over the head a little bit, and I don't like that a movie is boring as a good, reason against a movie. But, like, this movie, the first, like, hour, I just was not it. Like, I dozed off for like 5 minutes. And I'm definitely not a, like, fall asleep in the movies type of guy. Like, I'll find entertainment, in any form that I can, but it just, I don't know, this movie it didn't connect with me. Man. I guess, and I realize I'm definitely in the minority on this one. But.
I'm loving the spectrum on here that you really didn't like the movie, and I loved the movie. So, yeah, I guess that's just going to be up in the air for our audience. Whether I highly recommend everybody goes to see this film, and give your 2 cents. Post your comments down below if you're on the YouTube channel. That is, so let us know what you thought about the movie. We're going to move on now to we're going to talk about our store real quick. So if you guys need t-shirts, coffee mugs, phone, tablet cases, all that kind of great paraphernalia, if you head over to shop.spreadshirt.com/flickfreaks, you'll find everything we have over there for you. Fall's here, so if you need, like, a hoodie or something like that, we got all that stuff over there. Now it's time to move on to the Freak Leaks. This is the news segment of the podcast. We have 4 interesting news items. Nothing video game related this week. It's pretty much all film, and I don't think there's even any television. Yeah, this is all movies this week in the news segment. All right, first up, Barbara Broccoli and the Sony heads have told Daniel Craig if he wants to come back as 007, The job is his, no questions asked. For those of you who don't know, Daniel Craig said he was done playing Bond. Then he was like, I don't know if I'm done playing Bond. And then he's saying, I would rather slit my wrists than play Bond again. Then he said, no, I don't know, maybe I'll play Bond again.
Yeah.
Then Sam Mendes said, I'm done with Bond. So,
and this article just cracks me up. Like every time this story mentions, like it makes me laugh because like Daniel Craig is so done, and for some reason like Sony just still insists like just. I don't know who works for Sony, their company heads, because I mean, just all the things they do between, you know, all the Spider-Man shenanigans and now this, and they're just kind of like, no, I think we really need to stick with Craig, and I don't know, Sony just doesn't like change, I don't think.
Well, I don't know if you know this, besides the PlayStation division, Sony is hemorrhaging money. They're not doing well financially.
Oh yeah, no, they're doing real bad.
Yeah, PlayStation's pretty much the only thing that's making them money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but just a little bit of a twist on this. So, hypothetically, it's less of a hypothetical; it's more of a certainty at this point. Daniel Craig's not going to come back as Bond. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
You have carte blanche. Cast anybody you want. Who is your next Bond?
Man, I've been going back and forth on this. I mean, first thought that comes to mind obviously is Idris Elba.
That's my number one too.
That's been tossed around. I mean, Idris Elba is such a fantastic actor for one. I mean, and how cool would it be to have a black Bond? Like it'd be so cool. And Idris Elba, he would play a very different Bond, and that's kind of what I want. I don't want a repeat of, you know, we have Daniel Craig, he's the more grizzled Bond, and then Pierce Brosnan before him was a little bit more of a throwback to the classic Bond.
He was more the debonair sort of.
So it's like with Idris Elba, I want him to be like this, you know, this veteran Bond, but he doesn't rely on the action as much. He like relies a little bit more on his detective skills and, you know, his charm. I kind of want to go back to more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also I'd be fine with someone younger doing it though too, because, you know, Daniel Craig was a little bit older, and if we had two older Bonds in a row, how many Bond movies would Elba do? So
a lot of people don't, just because he looks older, but he's actually younger than Daniel Craig.
Really?
Yeah, by a couple years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he does.
But he does have a little bit of gray, and but I think that Idris Elba would be amazing, and I don't want him to just carry his character from Luther over. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen Luther or not.
I've seen a few episodes of Luther,
but you know that I want my next Bond, and this is a really weird comparison, but I want my next Bond to be how Ben Affleck was in Batman v Superman. This, you know, just fuck it. I'm done with this shit. I'm gonna fucking wreck house.
So Riggs plus Batman?
Yeah, Riggs plus Batman, yeah. But because Luther, he was a little emotionally unstable, you know, like he was, you know, kind of a bipolar. I don't want that. I want a you know, mentally he's all there and he can control his temper and stuff, but at the same time he's done this for a while now and he just doesn't give a shit. There's a difference between, you know, an emotional breakdown or not giving a shit. And I want that. I want that not giving a shit, because Daniel Craig, for some part, he kind of was a rule breaker every now and then, but most part, he followed rules.
Yeah, and then, you know, you had this sympathy for Daniel Craig because he had a very tragic Bond.
Yeah.
You know, so you felt this sympathy for him. But then another name that I'll throw out that I really like is Dan Stevens. Have you seen The Guest?
Yeah, The Guest. Okay.
He's also the lead in the new FX Legion series coming out, playing, you know, Xavier's son.
Yeah.
So but this kid, he has some range to him. I really like, but he has the suave look, and I kind of would like to see maybe a Bond of you know, something a little different. Like, have you seen White Collar at all?
A little bit, like Matt
I kind of want.
Like,
that's Matt Bomer?
Matt Bomer, is that blue collar or is that white collar?
White Collar.
Okay, white collar. Yeah, I've seen White Collar.
I kind of want like that kind of version, like a Bond that has these, you know, like I said, it doesn't rely on his, you know, the guns and the fighting and stuff. I want to be more of a spy and like have these like more skills on, you know, disguises or like, you know, picking locks and like, you know, forging stuff. Like, I think that'd be like a really cool aspect for Bond.
So you don't want like an Ethan Hunt like sort of Mission Impossible
No,
Bond.
because I feel like we're getting enough of those spies. You know, I want to
Yeah.
see something a little bit fresh. So Dan Stevens, he's young, he's a fresh face, and he's just now kind of catching fire. So I'd really like to see that kind of Bond as well.
It's something we haven't seen, and I think that that's the way they need to take Bond, because there's so many iterations of Bond with this, misogynistic, name is Bond, James Bond, that confidence. And that's something, that is intoxicating with Bond, that confidence and stuff. But at the same time, the way he goes about stuff, I don't think that has to be a copy paste that you've seen from every single others.
But it's like, you see, in the comic book world, you start changing, making small changes to someone's character or, the source material. Like, I saw a post, somebody just asked a simple question, like, what if we had a female Bond? And people lost their minds in this post, like losing their shits. Like, you can't, you just can't. So it's like, you start taking away the classic Bond tropes, people are going to be upset. But at the same time, the Bond movies are kind of at a stalemate right now. We need something fresh.
Yeah.
Like, Spectre was fine. It wasn't bad, but wasn't a great Bond film either. It was fine.
I didn't like Spectre at all.
You didn't like it?
Actually, that's my least favorite of the Craig Bond movies. I didn't like it more than Quantum of Solace. And that's really what is upsetting to me about Daniel Craig. He's going to go out with 2 good Bond movies and 2 bad Bond movies for me. So the 2 good ones are 2 of the best Bond movies ever.
2 of the best, but there is, Casino Royale is just, oh man, so good.
For me, Skyfall's the number 1 of his, but Casino Royale's right there. Just because, that was, for me, like, oh, we're getting a new Bond because we'd never seen Bond really get hurt. Mm-hmm. And Craig got the shit kicked out of him in those movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think the chair with the rope scene, like, holy shit, that's never happened to Bond. And what a weird scene. It was a good scene, It stands out in everybody's memory.
See, that's kind of how I felt about Spectre, though. Spectre had some, like, really cool scenes in it, but then in between these cool scenes was just a lot of nothing.
It was boring.
A lot of nothing, bad twist.
And Christoph Waltz
was phoning it in. But, like, that train fight scene in Spectre was so good, and the very opening scene was, I loved it. So it's like there was a lot of cool stuff in it, but then,
Yeah, Dave Bautista was underused in that movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. So, we're going to move on to the next news item here. Jon Favreau, coming off the success of the live-action version of the Jungle Book, is now set to direct a live-action version of The Lion King. Thoughts?
Well, so, I mean, the Jungle Book was, everyone kind of knew that this was going to be the litmus test to, like, see, like, okay, if you can make these CGI animals work and stuff, obviously Lion King's going to be the next one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they're so very similar. Why wouldn't you let Favreau work on something new, maybe?
Yeah.
Because, like, if we just had all these CGI animals, we're going to do another one with all CGI animals in general, which I'm fine with. I mean, I love The Lion King. Who doesn't?
Yeah. For me, Lion King is sacred. It's my favorite Disney movie, and I separate Disney and Pixar. So.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite Disney movie, and it's one of my untouchables. Just leave it alone, sort of thing.
I'd rather them not touch it, but at the same time, I'm not upset over it because I didn't love Jungle Book as much as everybody else did. I really loved the visual aspect of it.
Some people have it as like one of their favorite movies of the year. I don't even, let me pull up Letterboxd. It's not even in my top 15.
It's not even in I think I have it like out of like 70. I think I have it sitting at like 45 or something like that. It's pretty low.
Yeah.
The kid that played Mowgli is garbage. Like that kid
I didn't think he was
real bad.
I didn't think he was like, holy shit, terrible.
Oh, he was distracting bad for me.
For me, it's 24. So it's not too high and not too low, and I think I'm up to 70-something movies this year, so it's a little higher.
I like the voice cast they got for Jungle Book. A lot of the voice performances were really good.
Besides Christopher Walken, that was weird.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
But getting back to The Lion King, I don't know if this movie, because the thing with the Jungle Book is there is a human element to it, with Mowgli. So the live action kind of makes sense. I don't know if that's going to lend itself to, because it's not live action if it's all CGI.
Exactly. But then, and it's like you don't want them to add humans into Lion King because that's the whole point of Lion King is there's And I don't
is
want
the
them to like
separation from humanity.
I don't want them to like throw some random African tribe in there or some human conflict. I don't want that. So no, I totally agree with you there. It's like, then what's the point if it's just gonna be all CGI?
Yeah. And with the Jungle Book, they kind of changed the story around a bit to make it more human. And I think that that's really what people took away from it, because it really wasn't a musical. Well, that's the thing. Was the Jungle Book a musical or not?
And that's what my next question was going to be, because I saw an interesting thing on Movie Fights. They were talking about it, like, do you keep the music in this one or do you take the music out? Because, I mean, you know, they sprinkled some of the music bits in the Jungle Book, but
yeah,
I mean, music's pretty important in the original Lion King.
Yeah, some of the most iconic songs in history came from that movie.
Do you leave the music in, or is that going to look weird with a bunch of CGI animals now singing songs?
I think it would look weird.
So
man, so I hope Disney. I trust Disney. I really do. It's just that I don't want them to. It wouldn't ruin the original Lion King for me. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, I just want them to come up with something fresh, because they have the ability to come up with something fresh.
Or if they're going to continue doing these live action remakes, I'd rather them do, one of their properties that's known, but not one of their bigger ones. Like I saw someone said, what about the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
That would be amazing.
That would be really cool. And it's, popular enough to where it'd get people to come see it. But at the same time, it's one of their more, underrated gems. Mm-hmm. And I love Hunchback. So I think that'd be like super cool.
I think that they should have done that way before The Lion King. And I think that they should go back to movies way back, like their 60s films, like Sword in the Stone or The Black Cauldron or something like that. Do those movies live action, because there is a human element to those. And... But then again, I'm going to trust Disney until they prove me wrong. I think that also with, because that's what Disney's doing. They did the live action Cinderella. I didn't see that one. They're coming out with the live action for Beauty and the Beast. But yeah, I'm not excited for that one. But yeah, number 3 on the news items: Johnny Depp, Daisy Ridley, Dame Judi Dench, and Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Pena are all aboard as the cast for the remake of Murder on the Orient Express.
I'm real excited for this.
Have you seen the original one?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
Just the premise of it and how weird of a cast that is. Mm-hmm. Like, none of those casts seem to fit together, but somehow I'm really into it now. I forget who's directing it. It's a director that I like, too.
Oh, man. Put me on the spot. Sorry. But the original one had Sean Connery. It was a really good movie. I loved Murder on the Orient Express whenever it came out. Albert Finney was in that one. There was a Snidely Lumet movie. Yeah. Who else was... Wait, am I thinking of the same movie that had Sean Connery in it? Yes, I am. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But I'm looking up right now to see who's in the new Murder on the Orient. Daisy Ridley. Oh, Kenneth Branagh is making it. So,
yeah.
You know him from Frankenstein and Valkyrie, and he also made the new Thor movies.
Yeah, but then also on the producer, you got Simon Kinberg and Ridley Scott in there too. Yeah. Leslie Odom from Hamilton's in this as well.
Oh, and it's going to be written by Michael Green.
Like, this has a lot of I'm interested. It has a lot of really interesting talent behind it. I really like this weird ensemble cast. I'm in.
Yeah. And this is going to be, for me, the second movie I've seen with Daisy Ridley in. So she won us over with New Hope. Everybody loved Daisy Ridley in the New Hope
Part 2.
Yeah, so this is going to be her second showing to see, like, was she a one and done? Can she really have acting chops? I think she can. But for a majority of the world, this is going to be her next big movie. Besides, this will probably come out before Star Wars.
Yeah,
because I think that comes out December. It comes out December of 2017 or 2018.
Or 2017, no, you're right.
Okay, yeah. But, yeah, so
it's a smart move for her to go into an ensemble piece as well, especially with, established actors like Pfeiffer and Depp in there, too.
Yeah. So, yep, I love the original Murder on the Orient Express, Albert Finney, Sean Connery. Everybody definitely needs to check that out. Such a good movie. Final news item of the week. Colin Trevorrow has said Jurassic World 2 is going to lean more towards being a horror/thriller film, and that they are going to ramp up the practical effects and animatronics. Thoughts?
Well, So
what'd you think of Jurassic World?
Jurassic World, it was fine. Like it is pretty much an updated version of Jurassic World, but Jurassic World, has more of that horror thriller vibe. So if it's going towards that in the second one, I'm a little bit more excited for it. But the thing I'm not excited for, do you know how big this fucking budget is for this movie?
Yep.
$260 million. You know how many indie horror movies I can make with that money?
How many Babadooks could they make with?
Oh my goodness!
Or how many It Follows could they make?
I just think that's ridiculous.
It's
more. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It's more than the budget for the Avengers films.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they better have some dope ass animatronics in this one if they're.
And I hope that's where all that budget's going.
I really hope so. Yeah.
Because there are horror and thriller elements to the Jurassic Park universe. You look back at the original Jurassic Park movie, the kitchen scene with the raptors.
Yeah.
That was scary as shit when I was a kid. So
a lot of that movie is scary as shit. And then, and the magic of the original is from the practical effects and stuff. You kind of lost that out in Jurassic World. So I hope that, the things that he's saying, they're kind of going back to their roots a little bit more. So I'm intrigued.
Now, Colin Trevorrow is going to be producing this one. He's not going to be directing it because he's directing Episode 8 of Star Wars. So J.A. Boyana, he did Ewan McGregor's The Impossible. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Oh, man. It was him, Naomi Watts, during the Thailand tsunami. He's also done a lot of horror films. That's really what he's known for. He did The Orphanage.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Let's see what else he's done. He has a new movie coming out this year, A Monster Calls, the Liam Neeson movie.
Ooh, yeah,
so he's done that one. Now he's going to be doing Jurassic World 2.
I've heard really good things about that one too. Apparently it's really good.
Pretty excited for it. So yeah, they have he's not really he is a young director, but I'm really excited about Jurassic World 2 because they're saying a lot more practical effects. They proved that that's what people want whenever A New Hope came out and they saw all those practical effects. That was really the big takeaway for a lot of people in that Star Wars movie. So I think this is going to be the resurgence of practical effects, and I hope so.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely hope so. Like I said, return to the roots a little bit more because, Jurassic World was, almost a reboot in sorts of just, modernizing everything. And, I think they did a little bit too much, so... I like the sounds of what's going on because before I was not excited for a sequel. After I left Jurassic World, I was like, I could do without. But now I'm a little bit more interested.
I've ever since I was a little kid, because Jurassic Park was one of the first films I saw in theaters that I can remember saying, that's the greatest film I've ever seen. And this is going to be funny to say, in my life, how old are you?
I'm 22.
22, okay. Well, 30, so I was right at the age whenever Jurassic World or Jurassic Park came out. And for my age generation, that was the division for a lot of kids, where a lot of kids, whenever they saw that, they're like, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time. And then they went off to verge into what became, nerd, the nerd groups. And then the other kids saw, oh, that was a really cool movie. And then they just went on with their lives and they did, I don't want to say the jocks and stuff, but they were the other branch that weren't the nerds. Really, for my generation, Jurassic Park was the branching factor that got people excited. And then they're like, oh wait, there's all these other movies like Star Wars or Star Trek. And so for me...
And then they go back with the nostalgia and stuff, and that's why nostalgia is so popular these days. I guess you could say I'm on the other branch, I suppose, just because I wasn't old enough, to experience it as it, came out. So it's like I don't hold it as high of regard as a lot of people do, but I do love that movie. It's my favorite Spielberg film. I love it.
Yeah. It's oh man, what isn't my favorite Spielberg film? That would be a really good podcast in itself. We'll have to have you back on because we also do filler podcasts where it's not news related or anything like that. We just what's your favorite movies in this category, and those are really the fun ones because you get to really delve into your passions there. But I am really stoked for a more horror thriller based Jurassic Park because they do lean more towards the fantastical, and I think that they are ripe for horror. So,
yeah, no, for sure.
All about that. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the Freak Leaks, the news segment of the podcast. Now it's time to move on to trailer talk. This week we have 4 trailers we're going to be talking about. First movie up is Patterson, This is the newest Adam Driver movie. And wow, what an interesting trailer. It has a strong indie vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you can tell it's going to have some style in there. And I'm really excited for it. I'm a big Adam Driver fan. I think that this guy's a really talented actor. And this is going to be that role that people are, because everybody's, knows him as the funny guy from Girls, or they, now know him from Star Wars. I think this movie's going to be like, hey, look at this guy. This guy can act. He has talent. I like him as comedic roles too,
He did a movie with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yep, that's What If.
What If? Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
I love that movie.
I just remember the one scene,
so
I just
funny.
had sex and now I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest day in my life.
Yes.
So if you need any more confirmation that this is going to be a indie film, it's directed by Jim Jarmusch. I forget how you pronounce Jarmusch. I think it's Jarmusch. He did Broken Flowers, the Bill Murray movie. Have you ever seen that one? So Bill, just a real quick synopsis. Bill Murray, he gets some news in his life, so he tries to go reprise his love with a bunch of old flings, and if they don't go for it, then he just moves on to the next one. Really weird movie, hardcore indie film. Now that I know that that's who directed that, I totally get where this is going to go, and I think that Adam Driver is going to knock this movie out of the park. I like the way they set it up. The trailer shows you that this is going to be a very character centric. Everything's revolving around this guy. It's not like some big catastrophic event has to happen to him or something like that. It's just this guy's life, and I'm intrigued to see it. Looks like Adam Driver will be able to carry this movie. Yeah. Quick synopsis for everybody. So Adam Driver plays a bus driver / poet in Paterson, New Jersey. That's all it is. Yep, that's just the life of the man. And his name is Patterson. Yes. So, man, I will definitely be seeing this when it comes out December 28th of this year. Yeah. So I've heard his name thrown out for, maybe award season come around. Might be hearing his name called, so I don't know. I'm all for it. Next up, we have the Denzel Washington. Is it the directorial debut for him? I don't think it's his directorial. I feel like he did direct something smaller, but if it is, this is going to be one hell of a directorial debut for sure. So, looking up here, he directed Antoine Fisher, The Great Debaters, and one episode of Grey's Anatomy. Well, that's really random. Yeah, it was really odd. But maybe he was just bored. I was literally just he was bored. Yeah. But his newest movie, Fences. This stars. You also have Denzel Washington. You also have Viola Davis, and a face that he's a newcomer. The kid, Javon Adepo is his name. Let's see what else he's been in. Leftovers, that's where I remember him from. Do you ever watch? I've heard so many good things about that show. Leftovers is an interesting show. I've heard it's real crazy. I love just because Leftovers is right. If you loved Lost and you love the twist of Lost, because it's Lindelof. So Damon Lindelof made that. So he similar writing tactics and stuff. Yeah, but this movie. I'm going to read you the synopsis. This comes from IMDb. An African-American father struggles with race relations in the United States while trying to raise his family in the 1950s and coming to terms with the events of his life. I didn't even realize it took place in the 1950s, really. Yeah, I didn't really see the time period reflected very well in the trailer. But are you familiar with the stage version of this, though? I didn't even know it was a stage version. Yeah, this was a stage version. The person that played Denzel Washington's character was played by James Earl Jones. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure I think he might have won a Tony for it. I'm pretty sure. James Earl Jones is one of my, if you could, have dinner with this person, you get to choose 3 people you'd have dinner with in your life. He is one of those 3 people. Really? Yeah, him, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Stephen King. Those would be my 3 people I'd love to just have my dinner with and pick their brain for a couple hours. So, but man, I'm actually would be more interested to see the James Earl Jones screen adaptation of this than this. I'm sure this movie's going to be phenomenal You can see clips of the stage production. You can see that very scene that they used for the trailer. Really? Yeah. And it's good. But a couple, was it last week or the week before, we went and saw Magnificent Seven, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm just going to say I was blown away by the fact that Antoine Fuqua, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Antoine Fuqua.
he is obviously not known for doing Westerns.
No, or like, big action pieces like that either.
Yeah.
He's more known for his dramas.
Like Training Day and stuff like that. Did he also do Sniper, or that Mark Wahlberg movie where...
American Sniper?
No, not American Sniper, but a Shooter. I think he might have done that. I could be wrong. Anywho, the point I'm trying to bring up is the fact that Westerns are my favorite genre of film ever. And the fact that he's never done a Western before, he nailed it. He did this a really good job. It's not a great movie. It's a really good movie. But that was the first time I'd seen Denzel Washington in that type of role. And it just shows how diverse he is as an actor, where he can go into roles and stuff that he is not, known for and knock it out of the park. He was amazing in a Western. And
Denzel can do everything. I mean, the guy is definition of range. He's been just a very consistent. He puts out a consistent number of movies every year. He's a hard worker, and you always know what you're getting from Denzel. So, I mean, at least we have that to look forward to, if not anything, from this movie.
Do you have a particular favorite Denzel Washington movie?
Oh, man.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It's between Malcolm X and Training Day.
Really?
Malcolm X is that's such a tour de force performance. And I mean, that's 3.5 hours of Denzel carrying this movie. So that's a testament to his talent there. But I guess as far as the characters and stuff go, you got to go Training Day. I mean, Alonzo is such a dynamic character, and birthed this anti-hero / villains, being looked at as almost as a protagonist, and played that blurred line very well. So
for me, it goes back and forth between Training Day and Man on Fire.
Man on Fire is a really good one too.
But so you also have another a huge group of Viola Davis. I mean, she's a
fucking
class act. Phenomenal.
She's, I mean, probably one of the best parts of Suicide Squad besides Will Smith for me.
Yeah,
I really liked her turn as Amanda Waller. So
she killed it, no pun intended, as Amanda Waller.
Right.
I wasn't really a fan of the movie in general, but she was really good. Fine,
yeah.
I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did. I liked it more than Batman v Superman. But, one of the greatest female actresses alive today.
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, you just see she's nothing but raw emotion. I mean, she's just... the way she channels it in her performances, it's fantastic.
So this movie comes out on Christmas, and you can bet your ass this is going to be one of my most anticipated films coming out this winter. Now we're going to move on to a movie called King Cobra.
Totally shifting gears in this one.
Wow. So this is the newest movie by James Franco, but it has James Franco, Christian Slater, Molly Ringwald, Alicia Silverstone, and then we're being introduced to Garrett Clayton, I think is the newest guy's name here.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the... a different take on Boogie Nights, sort of, except it's a modern Boogie Nights, except about instead of what you would call heterosexual porn, it's a gay porn, and it looks. You've seen Boogie Nights, so you remember how Boogie Nights is technically two different movies. There's the Boogie Nights of the 70s, and then there's the Boogie Nights of the 80s. This looks like a modern version of 80s Boogie Nights, where nothing good is going to happen.
No, you can see just a lot of bad stuff is about to go down. But I love stories like this about, greed, about, fame, vanity. I love those themes in movies. I feel like they always translate really well.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued to see. And I mean, we were talking before the podcast. I love James Franco. This dude does nothing but work. Like, I read an interview with him on Time Magazine. Like, he was saying for 6 months he was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night because he's always working on something.
I couldn't do that.
So I'm really excited for anything that Franco has. He has a lot of movies coming out soon.
Mm-hmm. I think Goat comes out.
Is Goat's out already?
Is it out already?
Yeah,
okay.
It's out on VOD. I don't think it's coming anywhere here though. Okay. Unfortunately.
I'm interested to see that one. So something about this movie for me is the cast is just looks like they're going to be nailing it. Christian Slater, for me, he wasn't much of an actor until Mr. Robot came around, and he's
that
like
reinvigorated him for sure.
So now I hope that that's what it did, and I hope that we get the Christian Slater we have known for a while now. He's just never lived up to the potential we've seen in him.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the McConaissance of Slater?
Ooh, the
Slatisance. But
reconnaissance. We'll move on.
But so yeah, I'm interested because Brent is going to be the main focus of this, the young newcomer in the gay porn industry, and he's being treated
like some kind of star or something.
Yeah,
so like
kind of how Mark
Wahlberg.
Yeah, kind of how Mark Wahlberg was in Boogie Nights. But in Boogie Nights, Mark Wahlberg was treated as a person, where in this kid is being treated as an object.
Item. Yeah,
he's an item. He's a commodity.
Around. He said, "I have. You can't.
I own you.
Yeah, and
you're a trademark.
He was like, I trademarked your name. Like what? Like, and it has a Spring Breakers vibe in it a little bit. And I love Spring Breakers. I don't know about you, but it's
been a while. I can barely even remember Spring
Breakers. That movie
Breakers.
took me so hard off guard. Like I had no idea going into that movie, and it was crazy. So I'm really excited for this one.
All right. Oh man, I didn't have my Wi-Fi turned on. That's not good. Final trailer we're going to be discussing here. Flock of Dudes. So we have had an incredibly diverse array of trailers. These 4 trailers are nothing like it.
I was about to say, I was like, we really got a really big range on this.
Yeah. So this is going to be, it's a Red Band trailer, so that should give you a hint as to what kind of trailer. This is going to be...
It's going to be dirty.
The Bro Dude Comedy of the Year. So you have people like Chris D'Elia, Hannah Simone, Skylar Astin.
Mark Maron in there.
You have like the icons of comedy.
Yeah.
Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah, you said Mark Maron. Then you have Hilary Duff is in this. And then they're just going to throw Ray Liotta in there for some reason.
I know.
Why the fuck not?
Eric
Andre's in that movie.
Place.
That guy is one of the funniest people
he's
of
hilarious.
all time.
His show is ridiculous. Hannibal Buress pops
Jeffrey
in there,
Ross. It's a comedian movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, and I love comedian movies where they just get... Because I think, honestly... Comedians can do comedy films, and comedy actors can't always do stand-up. So whenever you have stand-up actors, they know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, something about people that do stand-up, you're always going to get very honest and genuine because, that's how they perform stand-up, they come across very honest and genuine. So you're going to get like that kind of comedy. That this is going to be like real-life comedy kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this is going to be the directorial and writing debut for Bob Castrone. Never heard of him. I don't know if you have. I don't know if he's a stand-up and that's how he came across this, or if he was just a young up-and-comer and he got blessed with being able to do a movie with a bunch of great people. So, yeah, pretty much. Oh, yeah, Hannibal Buress in this, of course. We mentioned him. So, here's the synopsis again from IMDb. A 30-something-year-old decides to break up with his best buds in order to finally grow up. So yeah, just like a frat house of dudes who never left the frat house. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to move on with my life. And his friends are not okay with him moving on. So it looks like that Chris D'Elia is going to be the main focus of this movie. And, it has, dick humor and stuff like that. How do you feel I'm curious about your sense of humor. Do you laugh at movies like this? Or
I do. Yeah, it just kind of depends. I think when you go into these movies with a certain mindset, you can easily enjoy them. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Not
literally
everybody
watched
loved
that movie
it.
before you got over here.
Not everybody loved it, but and it's not a great movie, but it's hilarious.
I
it's
laughed.
Just like
it's pretty funny
ridiculous humor that you can laugh at, but as long as it's not like gratuitous. Like I went and saw Bad Moms, and that movie is just awful. Like it's all over the place. So it's it depends how you use the comedy, because I think you can use crude comedy very well and it come across funny.
Yeah. I've watched 4 movies in the last, I think, 48 hours. I saw Swiss Army Man for the first time.
Ooh, good one.
It was really good. And then I saw Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, and then of course I saw Deepwater Horizon and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
I'm gonna go see that one tomorrow or Monday.
I hated it, but
Hated it? Oh,
hated it.
no.
I don't like Tim Burton.
Oh.
So that's my thing. But then, of course, we did a podcast, Aaron and I, for Sip Hop. That was our movie of the week.
Oh,
and
okay.
we were on a movie with Sam from England. He's a Tim Burton fan. He didn't like it either. For me,
I'm a Burton apologist. I've come to realize, like,
He
I
only
always look for the good in his movies, even if they're not great.
for me, he only has one good movie, and I only like one Tim Burton movie,
Edward Scissorhands.
Big Fish.
Oh, Big Fish is fantastic.
I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all
I
time.
love Tim Burton. I grew up on Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And I can even,
And
even
I
some
get,
of his bad.
get why people like him.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't feel like a Tim Burton movie.
Like I said, I'm an apologist. Like I caught myself defending Dark Shadows the other day. Like
Oh, really?
I'm a Burton apologist. I'll admit it.
Well, all right. That is going to wrap it up for Trailer Talk, and we only have one segment of the podcast left, the Fairbairn Forecast, where we let you guys know what you can go and see in theaters this week. So we did mention Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. You can still go and see Deepwater Horizon. I recommend you go and see Deepwater Horizon. I thought it was fucking phenomenal.
And I'll throw it out there again, and I'll recommend you see it as well, because I realize that I have a very obscure opinion of this movie. And like I said, I don't even think it's the movie that's the problem. I think it's just everything that went behind it. I'm being very cynical about it, actually.
Yeah. All right. You can also go and see Masterminds. That's the newest movie that has Kate McKinnon, Kristen Wiig, Jason Sudeikis, Zach Galifianakis, and Owen Wilson. Speaking of Jason Sudeikis, he has a new show out right now, Son of Zorn. Have you heard anything about it?
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, he is the voice of Zorn.
I didn't know he was voicing it.
That show is funny. I am really having a good time with it.
I've
because
liked
it's
all
something new
the
and fresh.
marketing campaign for it. It's been pretty funny.
The same people who made the Lego Movie, which is one of my favorite, animated films ever. Also, you can go and see Queen of Katwa. That's the newest movie that has David Oluwayu, and then also has Lupita Nyong'o. It's about the Ugandan girl who discovers she is a chess savant, or I guess savant's not the right word, but she is a master of chess. Yeah, she's a phenom of chess. One of Disney's newest movies. Movies that have been in theaters for a while, but you can still go and see. You can still go see Sully. Fucking love Sully. Magnificent Seven. I recommend you go and see that. And then we went and saw Blair Witch and Snowden as well.
I'm going to throw Don't Breathe out there, too.
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe is still hanging around. I'm glad it is. Go see that movie.
If it's still in theaters, then if you haven't seen Don't Breathe, it's in my top 10. It's in my top 10 of the year.
It's my number 2 movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's my number 2 movie.
Man, I wish we would have had you on to talk about it, because nobody else was able to see that movie besides me, and I didn't have anybody to fan out about how good that movie was.
I listened to a little bit of that episode too. Oh man, I love that movie.
Yeah. I'm going to go and see Storks today, so I will let you guys know how that one is, because I love Andy Samberg and it's an animated movie, so I'll let you guys know. So, yes, this is where we're going to throw out some plugs. So, Devon, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you and all your projects?
You can find me. I have my YouTube channel, Deezus Live, with an exclamation point. Just search Deezus Live. And you can follow me on Twitter as well at Deezus12, or on my Facebook page where I post all my YouTube videos as well. Deezus Live on that as well.
Give people a rundown of what your YouTube channel, like what content you put up.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is mainly movie stuff. I do a movie show, Deezus Film Saver, every Monday, where I let you know what I'm watching in the world movies and recommend whether you watch them or not, and give kind of mini reviews. And then once the fall season starts, I'll be doing the same thing for TV as well, Deezus TV Saver every Friday. And then I just put random videos. I do like in-depth discussions if a movie comes along that really affected me. And then I do random stuff as well. I just launched a new segment called The Server Audits, where I tell ridiculous stories from my 2 bartending jobs. So that's always fun as well.
All right. We're going to end the podcast with something we've never done before, but we're wrapping up this year. We only have a couple months left. Right now, what is your number 1 movie of the year so far?
Number 1 movie of the year right now? Oh my goodness. I've shaken this list up so much. I said Don't Breathe was my number 2.
Yeah.
But my number 1, why am I blanking right now? This should be a very easy question for me. You hit
I'll
yours
go
first.
My number one movie of the year so far is Sing Street.
Oh, yeah, it was Sing Street. No.
Oh, is it your number one as well?
I was about to say, I was like, why am I blanking on what my number one movie is? Sing Street is fantastic.
It's one of the best musicals of all time. The original, I bought the soundtrack to this movie.
Yeah, me too. The soundtrack is fantastic. I love Carney. He did Begin Again as well. And I love
did he?
that one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did Begin Again. But Sing Street is, you want original movies, you want a feel-good movie, a movie to hit every emotion on the spectrum. Sing Street is one of those movies. I love movies like that. And it's a simple story.
Yeah. Easily for me, number one movie of the year. And then I don't remember what my number two was. But everybody needs to go and see Sing Street. And everybody needs to go and subscribe to Jesus Live on YouTube and Twitter. Devon, I am so glad we finally got you over here to do this.
Yes. I'm definitely going to make sure I make more time to pop up more often.
So, everybody, what you can do on YouTube, I'm going to add Devon's channel to, our recommended channel list. So you can either search him in the search bar or you can head over to our recommended channels and find it there. To everybody, if you want to find us, you can find us, of course, on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, Riff, Displate if you want to buy some metal posters, Periscope, and Patreon. We'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, thank you guys so much for listening. Man, this is going to be episode 90. We're we're getting really close to that 100. Until next time, Godspeed to 100,000 subscribers.
Bye-bye.